What's up, guys? I just built a brand new locals deck, so I'm going to be going over the parts list. Parts list? What the hell am I talking about? I'm going to be going over the card list so that you can build this yourself. And if you guys need, to know what cards to get, where to get them, what packs to get them from, I'm here. I'm your guy. Obviously, I don't recommend you buy packs for this. I'd recommend you buy singles. If you buy packs, it's just going to be really expensive. But this is a cheap, pure branded deck, and we're going to be going over it. What's up, guys? So, first we're going to start off with the monsters. These are going to be your starters, your counters. Starting off, just basic. Everybody plays this. The Fallen of Albaz. Something you can use this for is if your opponent has you in a tight corner, you only have one card in your hand, you draw this card, you can play it, and you can use one of their boss monsters against them. It's really useful, and people always sleep on this card just as a fusion card. It's a lot more important than that. So we're going to be running 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz in our deck. Next, for our main searcher, we're going to be going with Aluber, the Jester of Despia. If you don't know what this does, upon normal or special summon of this card, it allows you to add 1 branded spell or trap in your deck and add it to your hand. Super useful. And then it also can let you, if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls. Special summon this card if you do negate the target effects until the end of the turn. So really useful. If this card's in your graveyard, you can summon it. If you get, popped. Like, let's say your Masquerade gets popped, you can summon this from the graveyard, negate all of the effects of the card. It's still going to get popped, but it's really useful. So we're going to be running 2 Alubers in our deck. Next, another searcher, that's going to get us to dump 1 card is going to be the Spellcaster Tuner, Guiding Quem the Virtuous. What Guiding Quem the Virtuous does is it's treated as a Dogmatica and Despia card. It can send 1 Fallen of Albaz or 1 card that mentions it to our graveyard. That's going to be very important later on when I get to the combos. So we're going to be running 2 of these. And then it can also, is very important for the strategy, if a card leaves the extra deck, target 1 Fallen of Albaz or a card that mentions it in the graveyard. Special summon it. So if you can target 1 card in the graveyard anytime something leaves the extra deck. So let's say you have Mirror Jade on the board and this on the board. You activate Mirror Jade's effect. You send Spriggan's, let's say any fusion you want. Like maybe 5-headed dragon. Then you can target it with Quem and immediately summon it. Super broken. So we're going to be sending 2 of those into our deck because there's not a lot of starters you can use Quem for. Next, Blazing Cartagia. This is going to be our main fusion once we have our board set up. What it does is if you have a Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard or on your field, you can basically special summon it from your hand and fusion summon any amount of monsters using this card. So you can fusion summon once per turn using this, and it can stay on your field. You don't have to use Cartagia for the fusion, which is really useful. So we're going to run 2 of her. Next, this is going to be our main dump card. So if get this into the graveyard, it is Despia Tragedy. What it lets you do is, basically all it lets you do is, just add 1 card, and then if you banish it, you also get a spell or trap. But if it's sent to the graveyard or banished, you can use cards like any banished card, and if it's banished or sent to the graveyard, it's really nice. Spriggan's Kit, it's a little bit worse than Aluber because you have to shuffle 1 back into your deck. So we're only going to run 1 of those. And then Mercurier, because Mercurier lets you get a free negate off for any branded card, and it's really good if you want to play, any Tri-Brigade fusions. Now for our Bestials, we're going to go Bestial Magnuma Hut. Really good. Lets you search, and if you don't know how Bestials work, you banish 1 light or dark monster in your graveyard. Anytime you can special summon this card, and it's really good. And then at the end of the turn, how Magnuma works is it lets you summon. So we're going to play that, and we're going to play a Baledrake. I'm not 100% sure on the ruling for Baledrake, so you're going to have to look that up on your own. Albion Shrouded Dragon, it's not very useful. Just if you send a branded card to your graveyard, from your deck or hand, you can either special summon or draw a card by shuffling this card back into your deck. So only really good because if you send it to the graveyard, it counts as Fallen of Albaz. So we're also going to run that. And then 3 Bestial Lubellions. This is going to be our main way to our Floodgate, which is really broken. Just completely locks your opponent's extra deck. And then it also allows us to special summon, pull off a ton of BS. So that is going to be all of our monsters in our branded deck. I went pretty light on the hand traps with only 8 total, but these are all pretty heavy hand traps that you're going to be using anytime your opponent tries to make a play. So we got 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring just because it's the most broken card in this meta. Then we're also going to be running Droll and Lockbird, 2 copies since that's all that's legal. If you don't know what Droll does, it allows you to basically stop your opponent from searching any card in their deck, which is super broken, just completely shuts down. And for our last line of defense, Nibiru the Primal Being, and then you can have 2 in your side deck if you want. But you don't really need that because this card is just super good against combo decks. Because at the end of the turn, if they have 5 or more summons on the turn, you can just wipe their entire board. And they cannot stop it. So, really broken card. And if you want to get Tinkerclad out, it's super good for Tinkerclad. Next, we have Crossout and Cold. Pretty much necessary, just because it's so nice to be able to stop hand traps. Next, for our spells, this is going to be our main fusion tech. Everything for the deck is coming through spells, as it is for most Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And we're going to start off 1 copy of Branded Fusion since that's all that's legal. I was aware before the May 28th, I believe, was when the ban list came out, but basically, if you don't know, due to a really broken version of Branded, which this deck is not. This is not Branded Draco Tail. This is pure Branded. This was super broken because it allowed you basically to summon a shit ton of boss monsters, and it was super broken. So they limited it to 1 because limiting it to 0 is just completely killing all archetypes of this deck, which I don't think people would be happy about considering people are dropping $80. But this lets you special summon a branded monster from your fusion deck by sending 2 from deck. So super broken if you know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're going to be running as many of those as possible just because super broken. Next, we're going to play 3 copies of Branded Opening. Lets you discard 1 card and lets you summon a Despia, which is a way for us to get to our Aluber and search our cards. Also to our Quem, which is also going to let us search cards. Very useful. So we're going to be playing 3 copies. Super good searcher. Then we're going to play Fusion Deployment. This is good even if, you know, you don't have Dragonold, the Dusk Dragon. Because even if you can't summon Cartagio with this, you can still summon Fallen of Albaz. You can still summon a ton of different monsters with this. And it's just overall super useful. But Fusion Deployment, yeah, super useful card. We're going to be running 3 of these. Super duper useful card. Next, we're going to be playing Foolish Burial so we can send that Tragedy to the graveyard. Because once that Tragedy's in graveyard, super powerful effect. Same thing with Gold Sarcophagus. And a little perk is it's going to let us get the effect off. And also during our second standby, you're going to be able to activate it. So we're going to be running those 2 kind of as a combo. You don't really want to draw into your Tragedy unless you have a discard for it. Otherwise, it's just kind of a wasted hand slot. Well, either way, it kind of is. Next, 1 Branded in High Spirits. I can see the argument for people saying you need 3 High Spirits, but you don't really need that many High Spirits since it's just so easy to search. The same thing with Branded Loss is like you don't really need so many copies. You can really stick with 1. Next, we're going to be running 3 copies of Super Poly. This is just super useful if you decide to go second, or if you need to get into a battle phase. You can summon like Albalectus or something. You can summon your boss monster. Just super useful because you can summon it mid-battle phase, and you can just completely FTK your opponent. Next, we're going to be playing Retribution. You can send this card to the graveyard, and if you banish, it will add 1. It will add 1 from your graveyard back. Only spells, though. And then Entombed. This is actually a card a lot of people sleep on. This card does is during your opponent's During either player's turn, you can immediately Synchro Summon. Okay, pretty good already. But it must include one Dragon Monster. That's not that bad. You can Synchro Summon during your opponent's turn. Quick Synchro, always a great thing. We saw that with IP Masquerena. That whole meta was super broken because you could just get really powerful cards whenever you wanted. But you can use the effect of Entombed Branded once per turn. While you control a Bestial monster, banish any monsters that your opponent sent to the graveyard that your opponent tributes for Ritual Summon or material for Fusion, Synchro, or Link Summon. If you don't know, Fusion, Synchro, and Link Summon, most popular right now. And with the new Clown deck that's out, you really need to be running this. Because tributing is so common, and they get those effects from graveyard, and it's just so broken. So if you're not running Attuned, then you just need to get a new deck. Also, I do want to add, the Synchros I'm running in this deck are not the best. I do think you could add on to this, but this is all like pretty budget, so we're not going to spend $15 on a Dispatter. So, now we're going to start with the extra deck. Now, the extra deck is a bit interesting. As I was saying, I think would be better if you swapped out some of these cards, and I'll put the alternatives in the description below on what I think you should be running, because this deck, again, not very optimized, could be a lot better. So we're going to be running 2 copies of Albion the Branded Dragon. What this lets you do is it lets you no cost, only for summoning it. You get to banish 2 from your graveyard, and you get to summon any fusion monster from your extra deck, as long as it's got Albaz in the name. So I could literally, or no, it's not even if it has Albaz. So I could summon my Guardian Chimera with Albion for no cost. So it's super good. So we're going to run 2. Because you don't want to bloat up your extra deck. You're reasonably only going to need 2. If you need any more, you're playing the game wrong. Next, Lubellion Searing. Basically the counter to Albion in the fact that you have to discard a card to activate it, and you get to shuffle back cards that Albion banishes. So basically, if you play this correctly, you can summon Albion, Lubellion. You can play Branded Fusion, Albion, Lubellion, discard 1 card, and you have 2 free big beefers on the board. Super useful. So that's why we're going to be running 2 Lubellions. Next, we're going to do Iridium Striking. If your opponent is playing a super heavy Link deck, you always want to play this, because it can negate 1 card from the extra deck. So if they're playing a super heavy extra deck, you're going to want to play this. So Iridium Striking, super good. Next, Tinkerclad. This is really going to be your win condition, because if you have a monster with 2,500 or more attack, it will multiply by the levels, which is super good. You can get this card to like 4,000 attack if you take their boss monster with, like Fallen of Albaz, like I said earlier. Masquerade is going to be your really pressure card. What Masquerade does is it deals 600 damage for every card your opponent activates. So if you can summon this out while your opponent has like Mulcharmies locked on you and then continuously summon, you can just FTK them. It's so broken. Such a good card. I love this card. It's so good. So that's why we're going to be running 1, because you can just cycle it back to your extra deck, people. Come on. Despian, basically it changes all the attack to 0 until the end phase. So it can basically just completely nullify. And then if this card is face up on your opponent's field and leaves the field due to a card effect, you can summon 1 Despian monster or Fallen of Albaz from your deck. Super, super broken. So if you get board wiped by like a Raigeki, say, or a Lightning Storm first turn, then you can summon a Fallen of Albaz from your deck and just completely take their boss monster. Like, let's say they pop, you can take that and summon like a Mirror Jade. Like, let's say they use Nightmare Unicorn. You can take their Unicorn, summon Mirror Jade, send, for example, Garuna. And then you can just completely banish off anything they were trying to retaliate with. So, super good card. It's going to be going in the deck too. Now, as I was saying, just about Mirror Jade, we're going to be talking about Sanctifier Dragon. And the Sanctifier is pretty good. It lets you summon once per turn. It lets you summon 2 monsters, 1 to each side of the field, which is kind of balanced, I'm not going to lie. So, also, what's broken is when Sanctifier leaves your field and it is in your graveyard at any time, you contribute 4 monsters, 2 of which in the extra monster zones. Well, that doesn't make sense. You can only access 1 at a time. That means your opponent's extra monster zone. So if they got a linked out board on you, you contribute some of their monsters for this. Super, super broken. Broken card. Built-in Kaiju when in the graveyard. So good. Then we got 2 Mirror Jades. Mirror Jade is a standout Albaz card. It lets you banish one once every other turn by sending a card to your graveyard. And it's just a really nice card. It uses 1 fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link summon. So it is really, just really good. So we're going to run 2 of it. Also has a built-in board wipe when it leaves the field. So it is a mandatory in every Albaz deck. Do not run Albaz without this card. Next, for your Super Poly, you're going to run Garuna and Guardian Chimera. Because these cards have basically no requirements and are just super, super good. Next, this is the sketchy part of the deck. And you guys are free not to listen to me on this. But I'm running Red Hot Dragon Archfiend as a free board wipe. You can get to this with your Cartagia or any other card. And then my Chaos Angel. Now, these 2, admittedly, are hard to summon. You're not going to get them very much. Which is why I think you could side deck these. And just run, Ragnar and run Dispatter. Because I think, realistically, if Chaos Angel was Bestial Dispatter, I think it'd be a lot more consistent and just overall a lot better. I do not have a Dispatter on me. I will be picking one up pretty soon, though. I just wanted to get this video out fast. And then for the Red Hot Dragon, I think literally Borreload Savage would have been way better, but they banned it very recently, so I didn't have a plan. You could also, instead of Red Hot Dragon, you could use Baron de Fleur. Oh, wait, no, they also banned that. They just love screwing over Branded. So that's the entire deck list. I'm going to give you a little bit of a combo, just a quick tutorial on how to play this deck. Okay, guys, so assuming you're going second and your opponent is playing a decent deck, what I would do first is, obviously, I'm going to Magnum Up Response. And what you're going to want to target here, I've always said this, target Lubellion. So that's going to be added to your deck, added to your hand at the end of the turn. So then I would obviously save your Baledrake. So let's say they summon from the extra deck, gonna Baledrake. You have a free Ash Blossom. And then what you can do with the rest of the board is Super Poly that. So now Lubellion will be added to my hand. And I will draw for turn. Which honestly, this hand is not bad. So, first turn, you might think, oh, we're going to immediately go with a deployment. But I want to get all of their negates off of the board. So you're going to Super Poly, targeting the Lubellion. Does it make sense? Yes. You got to listen. Now, what you're going to want to do is obviously Garunix. If you don't know what this does, Garuna. If this card is sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. Pretty simple, but super good. It's a free card for like links and such. So now you can finally start. What I would do is I would Branded Opening, because realistically you're not going to be able to do anything else. So Branded Opening. We're going to do Quem. So we're going to summon Quem in defense. Quem effect is going to trigger, letting us send 1. So I think what we should send in this situation, I'm sorry for my audio quality. So we're going to send Tragedy. Tragedy effect is going to trigger, allowing us to search again. And we are going to obviously search the powerful and broken Aluber Jester of Despia. And we still have our 1 normal summon. I know that's hard to believe with this broken board. Now you're not allowed to synchro summon the turn you activate opening. That's my bad. Now we're gonna Aluber Jester of Despia in attack position to search out, let's think. Branded Fusion. Now I'm going to use my Bystial Lubellion from my graveyard. This is going to be my hand right here. And I'm going to target my Baledrake to summon it in defense position. And what we're going to do is we are going to Lubellion effect to summon to set my Intrude of the Branded, which is perfect. We have a Synchro. We have everything set up perfectly. And this is a good-looking board. So now we're going to shuffle our deck. You always offer your opponent to cut, so they're going to cut. And if you have never played Yu-Gi-Oh!, then I'm sorry for what you're about to witness. So Intrude is going to be set. We're going to activate Branded Fusion. And we are going to fuse. Can we use cards on the field? Because I feel like we have too many on the field right now. And I have no ability to link summon or fusion off my field if we can't. Okay, we can use field. So I think we're going to use. For now, I think we're going to use. I think we're going to use Cartesia and Albaz. We are going to use Cartesia and Albaz as material for our beautiful baby boy, Albion. Albion effect is going to trigger, and we are going to use this effect to banish Fallen of Albaz. And honestly, I think Magnamut would be the most value here. So we're going to get rid of Magnamut, or least value. As long as Garuna is 6 stars. Yep, that's 6 stars. That's perfectly fine. And then we are going to summon out. Or no. It wouldn't be Garuna. It would be. This is actually quite a big dilemma right now. Uber and Fallen to do Masquerade. Now, keep in mind, if I had more cards in my hand, I 100% would be doing more. But, unfortunately, I cannot. So, we are going to end phase. During end phase, we are going to get off Cartesia, allowing us to add her back to hand. And then nothing else right now. But that is a perfect setup. So now, the only problem, honestly, was that Bystials I summoned at the beginning of the turn. Those, honestly, were pretty bad because it flooded our board. We couldn't get a good board out, but this will be fine. During our opponent's turn, we're going to activate Intrude of the Branded. This is going to let us summon with Quem and Garuna. And summon out Chaos Angel. Garuna's going to let us draw 1. Look at that. We summoned into Retribution. Really good for our next turn. Now, assuming he doesn't clear anything, I'm going to say, I don't know. I'll say he can clear, why not? He can clear these two. That's going to be fine. What we're going to do now is we're going to draw for turn. And I'm going to give you guys OTK right here. We are going to. Cartesia is going to be special summoned because do we control a. We do not. Shoot. We don't. Okay. Well, either way. 25, 35, 25. That's still enough. But what we can do is we can Cartesia. Cartesia is going to be summoned. And it's going to use Lubellion, our Tribegrad, and our Bystial. So these three are going to go to grave to summon out Guardian Chimera. Hold on, let me read. Chimera's effect. So we're going to draw 3. And this is literally perfect for what I'm planning to do. We're going to activate, we're going to set Super Poly. Okay, so now what we're going to do is with our Fallen, assuming he still has some board left, we're going to do this, discarding Retribution to target, let's just assume he has literally any monster out. We're going to be able to summon, most likely we're going to be able to summon, because I'm assuming he has a dark card. We're going to summon a, not dark card, assuming he has a light card, we're going to summon a Lubellion. Or not Lubellion, Albion. Now that we have 2 Albions on the field, this is going to be perfect for what I plan to do now. So we're going to set, and we are going to go into battle phase. Chaos Angel attacks, Guardian Chimera, attack, and then you have your Super Poly. Oh, what can you go into here? It's actually a good fucking question. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, this is super good, and that's basically game. I mean, almost guaranteed game. I mean, honestly, I think if I hadn't played Fallen of Albaz, I think you could have done better, but that's just, I just built this deck, so I mean, it's pretty broken. Make sure to copy the deck list. I'll have it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Builder, in the description. I'll have literally a cheat sheet with everything you'll need, pricing, everything. So, yep, check the description if you want to build this, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. It just genuinely takes so long to make these videos, and I'm really happy, you know, I can make this.